Oh gosh, it's my turn. I'm going to talk about Victorian birth control. It took me a really long time to figure out what I was going to talk about. I read two different books just to be like, none of these are the story that I want to talk about today. But they were really good books, and I will post them later. But what even is a Victorian? Who are they? What time is this? Yeah, like, okay, I know the name, but that doesn't mean I know when it was, Randy.
I
According
just
to
love that you said it like, what even is a Victorian? Like, it made them sound like some sort of mythical creature. Like, we're going into the jungle. But first, you need to know, what even is this?
That's
That's
true.
fair.
Let us talk about them how they've talked about us. And apparently, Encyclopedia Britannica is the place to find the information about it. I mean, it's all right there. That's what the internet is for. The
Until they take it away.
Anywho, the Victorian era is the period between 1820 and 1914. It corresponds to the time of Queen Victoria's reign. It is described as a time with a class-based society and more people getting the right to vote. Britain during this time had a stable government, a growing state, and as we have heard countless times, an expanding empire. They were colonizing everywhere, colonizing, taking over, abusing, doing whatever the hell they want. Also, the fact that freaking the king of England had to come over here and be like, "I'm a piece of shit, and even I know this is not good. This place is not good here."
You mean recently?
Like, yes, like 20 minutes
I
ago?
was
Yeah.
like, yeah, the king didn't like it.
The king doesn't like, I don't care for this.
I don't care for the king.
That's what I said. I'm like, if this man, look at him. He's with Camilla. If he thinks this is bad, we're fucked. Anyway, today there exists this belief that the Victorians were prudes and they were like fucking in the shadows and just, you know, judging everyone outwardly. And this belief is based in some truth. But they did write a lot about sex for some of people because some of them weren't prudes. But, there's the right ways to have sex, guys. There are rules to these things. Most people, however, were not that open. Middle class women were particularly proud of not knowing anything about their bodies or sex or childbirth. They were just real happy to be like, I know nothing about that. I don't know how these boobs work, which is concerning because it is part of yourself. There was a sexual double standard, different yet similar to the one we have today. Men wanted and needed sex. They need it. They need it biologically. They're just wired this way. And women didn't have that sexual desire. This is just the belief of the time. Like women just don't want to have sex. And they really only want to have sex to please their husband.
I love listening to this and knowing they so obviously talked to a woman. Like, that's
She doesn't want
like,
it.
who are they even talking? They had a conversation with a woman? I'm just wondering.
Ever? No.
Ever,
No.
ever.
Mm-mm. But the men need it, Randy. They need it. It's just they're gonna fall apart without it. Anywho, yeah, we know that that's not necessarily the truth. Everybody's a case by case basis, but I'm just trying to paint a picture for the time. It is a very like it's a time of science growing, but it's also the time of like just letting anyone tell you what to do. And this is like the science that we're coming up with at the time, and it's kind of wild. But what did they use for birth control? But before we get to that, what did I use as a book? The book Unmentionable. It's really cute. Look at it. By
I like that.
Therese Oneill. Yeah, I found it in a museum once and I didn't want to buy it from the museum because I'm a bad person and I bought it on Kindle. It's like I'm a bad person. It was for $2. Anywho, this book is hilarious. If you get a chance to read it, you really should. It really puts history in a really like sassy tone, which I appreciate. Like it's fun. It's just a fun
Yeah,
read.
yeah.
She
Makes
also
for
has one.
history tea.
Yeah,
Makes
make
for
it fun.
history tea.
Make it a good time. She also has one about rearing children, like with how the Victorians raised their kids, like what beliefs they had about children. I've read some of it. It's very curious. It's an interesting book. But anywho, about birth control. So what are you doing? You're Victorian. You're not trying to get pregnant. You already have 17 children. What do you do? Number one, you could not have sex, Victorian people, because that's the
100%
best
effective.
way to not get pregnant is to, like, if, you know, don't make that choice. Just don't do it. Reverse Nike. But also, if you're married, it is your godly duty to give your husband the sex that he wants. And also, you're supposed to, at this time, the church tells you you're supposed to have sex and allow God to just give you the children that you're supposed to have. So, what do you do if you want to have sex but you don't want to get pregnant?
Should we
What's
play
the
that
try?
clip
Yeah.
from
What's the
Garfunkel
time
and
and trude?
Oates?
What's the time and trude? Tried and true method, the number one method.
I
Pull
was
out.
trying so hard to figure out what you're saying. Tried and true. Okay. What's the
Yes.
tried
You
and
pull
true
out.
method?
I
Pull
too
out.
was trying to
Pull
figure it
out.
out.
Yeah. I'm
Pull
with
Yes.
out.
Greg. Pull
Okay, so
out.
you pull out. Okay, Britt, what did you say?
I was gonna say, are we going like Garfunkel and Oates, fuck me in the ass because I love Jesus?
Oh, that would no. So like I can tell you that would be sodomy, which is considered a sin.
They're all sins,
Any
Greg.
and no, but anything involving the butt is a sin, just straight up
Not the
at
It's
that
all
butt.
time.
bad.
Yeah,
If you're near the back door, you've gone way
yeah.
too far. You've made a choice. hmm So the
It should
pull-out
be a
method.
mutual choice.
It
Mutual
should be.
choice.
That's a gift. Yeah. So the pull-out method, existing since people figured out that sperm exists and make people pregnant, and they're like, not today, maybe. So what was the top literature saying about it? So this book called Searchlights on Health, Light on Dark Corners by B.G. Jeffers and J.L. Nichols writes that it is an incomplete and unnatural act and is followed by results similar to and as disastrous as those consequent upon masturbation. Imagine being a masturbator? Sick. In the male, it may result in impotence, and in the female, sterility. That's the risk you're taking in the Victorian era and using the pull-out method. But some medical professionals felt that women could not orgasm without the pull-out method because it would cause health issues. Orson Squire Fowler, a phrenologist. Do you guys know what phrenology is?
I do.
Unfortunately.
Yeah.
Greg, what is it?
It's like the people that studied the skulls and saw like different sort of attributes of the skull, told you things about races and shit. It's like Leonardo DiCaprio in Django Unchained.
I've never watched that movie, and now with even more reason, I don't want to watch that movie because every day Leonardo DiCaprio disappoints me
I love
further
that
and
movie.
further.
I did not like that movie
That's what they
until he
do.
got to the part where he was killing everybody, and then I was like, okay, I'm ready to go.
Yeah. No. As someone who studies like that time in history, I love it because we don't get those kinds of revenge stories often.
Hmm. Now I'm gonna watch it, I think.
It's worth
I'm
what
very
I think it's worth
conflicted.
Just
I'm
watching.
so
very
you know,
conflicted.
my main reason, a lot of the N-word.
It
Yeah.
is hard, yeah.
I can't do that's where I struggle. I know they used it in that time period. I can't do it.
No, I mean it's understandably very difficult, yeah.
Yeah.
I have never seen a Tarantino.
I don't think I have either. Maybe. I think I've seen one.
I've seen a few Tarantinos to
I've
be
seen a
fair.
lot, but I feel like that tends to be more like guys are very into
Oh
Tarantino
yeah. I have
often.
met at least two guys that I've
I
dated that are
liked
like
Tank Girl.
into
I mean, like,
Tarantino.
I like some Tarantino movies, but I'm also like, I'm not obsessed with him. I feel like
Oh
that's
no, there
where you
I feel
draw the
like
line.
that's a type, like
There is a
obsessed.
type, yeah, who are like Reservoir Dogs is the best fucking movie ever made, you know? But
You know Red Flag, Christopher Nolan fans.
Yeah.
Okay, so phrenologist is a fake doctor. They're not real. They're not real. They were like discredited. They were like, head bump doctors, not real. That's just a bump you have. Anywho, so Orson Squire Fowler said that women suffer the most from this vice of pull-out method because her organs are adapted to act for a longer period. It provokes in her all diseases of her genital organs, from simple inflammation to the most serious derangements. When I review all the diseases of the women I have attended, I believe three-fourths of them were caused by the practice of frauds in sexual intercourse. And you're a fraud if you're doing the pull-out method, so think about that. Make your choices. Anywho, John Kellogg, the man who said eat cornflakes to fight masturbation. And I will come back to him. I That's going to be my next deep dive because the more I research I've done, the more I found out about John Kellogg and his brother, and they're both
And graham
crazy.
crackers
And
too.
the graham
That's
crackers. You
also
can't.
like part of it.
Everything is to fight masturbation.
Has to be bland.
Yes, the bland food. You know who has the blandest foods?
White people.
Yeah. Anyway.
Yeah.
Which is so ironic because they
Yeah.
went to Asia for the spices and then they didn't even fucking use
And
them.
then don't fucking use them.
Like, what the fuck? You literally colonized a whole area for this shit.
So,
And you're gonna say it's too spicy?
Karina, can I add like
Yeah.
a layer of complication to like all of what you've been saying about like these people that are like, this is how it is, and like, I studied
Yes,
all these
Greg.
people. This,
I
so
love
this is
it.
also the era when like doctors became like the medical profession that are today, where we're like,
Mm.
oh, these people are really smart and stuff. They actually were like lower class and like medicine wasn't really taught in universities for a long time. And it's only like in the 1800s that like they professionalize and start really pushing through like board like groups like American medical organizations and stuff like pushing this idea that like we know this because science and cut out like midwives and women and like folk knowledge that had been there for millennia, right? There's actually a really good book. I can't remember the title on it that I read about that in grad school.
I love that you said that, Greg, because as a person who's been doing okay, so I've been doing these episodes, and there's one I can't remember because I did drink that whole cosmopolitan thing, but there's a book I read that was like, at a certain point, they have t taken our like own knowing of ourselves away from ourselves, and they've like exported, I don't know, exported like your own knowing, and like ignored all of the knowledge that you had and that women had from helping deliver babies for hundreds of years to be like, we know best. And I think that, like, as a person who's done a lot of research, it's really validating to hear you say that. When I've read countless times, like, it's just a lot of these white men that are like, I'm a doctor now.
Yeah.
I got a diploma.
Well, that's
So,
just it though, right? Like doctor before, like for hundreds since like the medieval period in like Western European culture, right? Like that's just the caveat here. Like since the medieval period, a doctor was someone who had been through all these levels of university training, which was like very broad. It was like math, science,
right,
philosophy,
it
like
didn't
all this
have to
stuff.
be like necessarily
Specialized.
healthcare. Yeah, it's just
No,
you
no,
know
no, no.
stuff.
So that literally comes about in the 1800s, and that's like replaced our whole idea of like, like my joke earlier about like, help, help, we need a doctor. You assume medical doctor, not someone in like an academic specialty.
Well, I don't know if you knew this, Karina. I do think we should have a whole, every time we do one of these episodes, we're always like, another episode idea. But all
I know I have notes all over my desks. There's so many ideas. But if you have any, you need to send them to us. We need all the ideas we can get.
because like indigenous medical history, like that's outside of like the folk medicine and which, herbal medicines, like they have their own thing and like they're really helpful and a lot of studies show a lot of different things that I can get into at that point. But all I was gonna say is, one of the things that I find most interesting when I think about it midwives and their removal from medicinal practice is really around C-sections. And C-sections were being performed by midwives in Africa for centuries before they were ever brought over to Europe and America, or at least a full century before they were brought over. That was all done through midwives. It was on the back of midwives that we even have this advanced medicine to do things for women's health. And it's absolutely crazy that they got cut out. Like, I hear what you're saying, Greg, and I know that they did it and I know why they did it. It's just crazy, though, to cut out the people whose backs you built your work on.
Yeah. Oh, absolutely. Like the period that I study, like colonial New England, like literally when someone's giving birth, they push like the men, it's like, get the fuck out. Like this isn't your space, and it's
Hmm.
women that attend to
Hmm.
women. Like
Hmm.
men don't start really like
Yes.
being present for births until the 1800s.
Anyway, another soapbox for another day, but it's crazy to me that they got taken out of the mix.
Yeah. And when they had so much experience, so much knowledge, like, and so much respect that they deserved for what they got. But John Kellogg, a man who just had a lot to say and a lot of cornflakes to make, had his own thoughts on the dangers of the pull-out method. He threw out the theory that the fruits of these incomplete procreations, maybe the infants that were more feeble, sickly, or even monsters, an actual medical term for children with birth defects. Because that is what science was. They were like, what's the crudest way we could refer to someone? Call them that and then use it as as the medical term. Like they did that forever. Anyway, what were the other options if you're like, okay, I'm still gonna have sex and also the pull-out method does not work? What are the options? I think it's only like 70% safe. What, anywho, yes, Britt?
I was gonna say that sounds about right. Um, let's see.
I think that's what DIY says. But what does phrenologist Orson Squire Fowler say about preventing conception?
What does phrenologist, what is his name? Orson Scott?
Orson Squire Fowler.
Oh, Orson Squire Fowler. My apologies. What does
Yes,
he think? I'm dying to know.
I knew you were wondering. Preventing conception outrages every sexual law. Prepare to meet your God, ye who persist. Every argument is futile. Right bearing never exhausts but always improves mothers. So if you have a bunch of children, it's good for the mom. And large families are the best pieces of property in existence. So,
Can I request if we were in Hawaiian culture and I got to name my genitalia, it would be ye who persists.
I love
that.
that.
I fucking love it.
that was phenomenal, Randy. I love it. Okay. Wow. I feel like that's an accurate name for you. I don't know about your genitalia personally, but like you as a person, that feels right.
Well, speaking for both of us, I like it. It fits.
But what did our friends BJ Jeffers and JL Nichols, who wrote Searchlights on Health, Light on Dark Corners, say about this? Them as long These two men, along with other medical experts, which we've discussed at length what an expert could mean at this time. It's just a white man. A white man with a typewriter.
Oh, what's new?
Oh my God, it's a podcast, bro. It's a podcast, bro. It's just a
It is
podcast,
podcast,
bro.
Are you seeing
Anywho,
yourself?
no, I'm seeing that nothing ever changes, Randy. Back then it was a man with a typewriter. Today it's a guy with a microphone. What will it be tomorrow? You know what I mean? Like it's just a different type of technology.
Hmm.
Anywho, along with other medical experts, um, they would offer timetables of when women could be most fertile, least fertile, or even temporarily sterile. And I have not seen these timetables, so I don't know how accurate they are, but I have looked into cycle tracking. So if you are able to track your cycles and be consistent about it, and if you have like a consistent enough cycle to track, you can see the days when you are the most fertile. But I don't know how accurate and up to date that these methods were because like I'm skeptical. Anywho, Dr. James Ashton, author of The Book of Nature, recommended his own methods for married couples trying to limit family size. One is sponge and spermicide. Dr. Ashton basically sends you to the drugstore, like he gives you a how-to. Like they would put these in different catalogs and be like, I'm a doctor and I'm an expert. I'm telling you how to do this to protect yourself.
Mm-hmm.
And so you go to the drugstore, you buy a fine sponge, and then you get some silk and you make a little sponge tampon. And he had a bunch of recipes on how to make different spermicides, and you soak it in there and you put it in there. And then after you're done doing what you're doing, you just take the little spermicide sponge out, and that's it. He had a whole recipe book. Most of them didn't work. All the recipes were for different spermicides to kill the sperm, so like you could do it would kill it. This was not like a novel idea. It wasn't like he was the only one thinking like, how do we kill them before they can get anyone pregnant? In 1897, there was a doctor who even made vaginal suppositories that were to destroy spermatozoa. They were like Lysol for like in there because they were like, if we make it inhabitable, nobody can live.
Yeah, including the vagina. Well, that does
Yeah.
not sound good.
No, and that is your warning right now. If you own one, don't put random things in there. Don't. No, that's not safe. Water, that's it. Speaking of which, that's another quote unquote birth control method. You can just wash everything out. It doesn't work, but that's an option. Another birth control method. Some men would tie up the scrotum, just tie up to like prevent the sperm from going anywhere and hope to avoid impregnating, quote, the female. But this method is exceedingly hurtful. So people were doing this to prevent it. But also during this time, condoms were transitioning from animal skin sheaths to rubber, man-made, and super thick. It was a very unpopular method of contraception, and they often broke. Dr. F. F. Jackson writes to the Medical World in volume 15 in 1897 of a device called the hood or French pisser. It was a cervical cap, an aluminum button that was placed at the uterus. So it's like this is the lid. Like if my palm is the lid, it's like this. And you just like put it in there.
This is like a diaphragm.
Kind of like a diaphragm IUD mix. How do you get the button? How do you get this button, guys? You have to send for it in the mail. And then you get the button.
You said like an IUD mix.
It's like a very early IUD. They were like, you put it in the uterus, and so I'm assuming to say you put it in the cervix, and it just
Oh God.
like a little cap.
Are
So
these
yeah,
Victorians in England that you're talking about?
um,
Because
these
wouldn't Comstock's Act have kept that
this
from
is
being mailed?
this is before Comstock's Act.
Oh, thank you for
This
the
is
clarity.
right before, and
I'm literally
I
scratching my
didn't
head.
I didn't add it in here, but this is like before. That's why it was like, yes, you could do it through the. That's why I even mention it. Yes, you could do it through the mail,
Mhm.
but then Comstock's Act comes into play,
He was like, no.
and you can't get birth control in the mail. You can't even talk about sex in the mail. And those are episodes that we will talk about later this month, which is phenomenal way of wrapping it all together, Randy.
I just was curious
Yeah.
where that played
No,
in.
literally in the book it talks about all of this, and then right after it talks about Comstock and his law.
Well, okay, yeah. I mean, not to side with Comstock, but I don't know. These don't sound really reputable so far, these options.
You're not
We
it
might
looks
have
like a
been
freaking tack, Randy. It looks like
we
a
might
tack
have
with
been
little
saving lives
hooks.
unknowingly.
It looks like a
Oh.
I
tack
know,
with
Britt, not what I wanted to say.
I know you
Uh,
don't want to
oh, I
side
meant
with
the tack
Comstock.
part.
Oh.
Yeah, that's
And
it's
meanwhile, I'm
horrible.
like agreeing with the man.
No, I agree to honestly I think there is an extent of like yes, knowledge is necessary, but like if we can prevent harm, we should.
hmm hmm
Anyway, yeah, that's what I got about the Victorians. They were kind of crazy
Sure.
guys. This book is there's so much in there and it there's so much history. There's so many things that I've learned that I'm like, will I ever recover? You know?
No.
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 But we've got some really great episodes coming up for everyone.
This is for your benefit, guys.
It's for you. Um, but Britt, what is your last group of facts?
Yes, so this one is a little bit more of a story. So you said the Victorian era, what time range was that again?
Hmm. I'm scrolling. Hold on.
You're good. My cat's being cute, so it's
18
okay.
It's 1820 and through 1914.
Okay, so
Wait,
not too.
it's 100 years?
It's approximate to her
Broadly,
to the
yeah.
time like around where she ruled.
Hmm.
But
Okay.
it's like approximate. It's just like a but it's not necessarily like she was alive that whole time, but that's considered her period though.
Okay. Cool, cool.
So, not too far past the Victorian era, we have what everyone probably remembers learning about World War II. So, amongst all sorts of war fronts that the US Army and Navy were trying to fight, another one that we don't talk about very often, they are commonly referred to as the enemy in your pants. During World War II, they had a significant issue of sexually transmitted infections amongst soldiers. Roughly out of every 1,000, 43 soldiers would have gonorrhea, syphilis, or neurosyphilis, a specific form of syphilis that attacks the brain and spinal cord. Up until the creation and widespread use of penicillin, the war effort tried to combat this by educating soldiers about pamphlets, prophylactics, and posters with different slogans such as sex exposure without prophylaxis is proaxis. You can't beat
Oh,
the
I love that.
axis.
I love that line. That's a
I know,
great
right?
that's a great little use of.
Great little pun there. You can't beat the Axis if you get VD. And one famous poster with a soldier leaving saying, "Taking VD home too, sailor." So,
I like that.
thankfully,
You're taking it home too?
truly, there was also several different ones that I saw that very much demonized what's it called, sex workers at the time period, including men who know say no to prostitutes who are spreaders of syphilis and gonorrhea, and self-control is self-preservation. Pick up, spread syphilis and gonorrhea. They were pretty intense about it. There's also several ones that I saw that had to do with elephants that I was like, I feel like these are better seen than just shared verbally. But thankfully, penicillin has helped tame the issue a little bit.
That was a lot, Britt. That was a lot.
Oh,
I was like,
um,
it's because the condoms weren't good.
Wait, what did
yes.
the elephants have to do with it?
It seems I was looking through some of the different posters. It seems they commonly used it as like a what's it called? Don't forget or don't be forgetful because elephants have very long memories.
Okay.
So
It's like the elephant never forgets.
Yeah, so it's like an elephant never forgets to go by the pro office, is what they would refer to it, or as prophylactics. There's also one they had about thick-skinned elephants, and I was like, I don't know where this is going, but I'm just gonna move on. So there's, if you look it up, there's an archive where they have several different of these, like 100 and something of these different slogans and posters saved,
Yes,
and different
you know what is
pamphlets.
funny is in one of the past episodes I talk about that too.
Really?
Yeah, I mean, the amount of World War II propaganda conversations that we've had on this podcast are quite. I mean, off the top of my head, this is at least the third one that I know that we've had. That I
I
know
mean, it
for a
always
fact
comes up. It's
that
one of
we've
those
had.
topics. It just comes up.
There. So let's talk about. I think that's pretty much it for me. I have a couple of other like short ones if y'all are interested, but I'm also not too worried about it.
I'm okay either way. I'm like, whichever. No, it's
um,
8:30 or whatever. Greg,
yes.
go.
Yeah.
Because I'm like, wait a minute, it's late. Greg, go.
Okay. Yeah. I'll try to tell mine in a quick way, but also interesting. So my notes are from a book by Sean Wilentz and Paul Johnson called The Kingdom of Matthias. And I can't remember what the tagline is, but it's like I think it's like a story of sex and salvation in early America or something, or the early Republic. So basically, so I'm going to tell you all a story about a sex cult because I think that's interesting and it fits with sexy history. And this story takes place in the 1830s primarily in New York, so in Randy's territory, in a community called Sing Sing,
I feel like,
which is
am I gonna enjoy that fact, Greg?
I don't
Am
know.
I?
So I think I was looking it up, and the modern day town is like Ossining. I may be saying that wrong, but it's like a town that's like up on the Hudson River, like above Manhattan, right? So like north of Manhattan, basically, on the river. And it involves this guy named Robert Matthews, who was also, you also might know him as Robert Matthias, Jesus Matthias, Matthias the prophet Matthias, or Joshua the Jewish minister. So this guy went by a variety of names. Or
My
if you
favorite
were
is Joshua, the Jewish minister. Like,
or if you
it's
were
just
quoting a
Joshua.
newspaper from the time, he would be Matthews the imposter. So so a little bit about Robert Matthews. He was born in Cambridge, New York in 1788 and grew up in a Presbyterian family. So mainstream Christian, like that kind of thing. And as an adult, he became a carpenter, which is interesting with the whole Jesus is a carpenter thing, and moved around New York, but never managed to sort of like get a business off the ground. So he did what most people do when they fail in life. He became a religious grifter, you know?
Yeah.
Um, so like he became interested in this. There was this famous Jewish guy at the time named Mordecai Noah who was building like a utopian community in New York because he was like, this is going to be the new Israel and bring about the apocalypse and stuff. Like basically, I'm going to create like a new Jerusalem in America and all of that. And so he left Presbyterianism and then dabbled with Methodism and a little bit of Judaism because he was really interested in Mordecai Noah and took on this whole like um persona as this like Jewish prophet, basically. Like he was a reincarnated prophet from the Bible days. And that was kind of like the persona that he developed and like sold himself on. And he actually tried to join Mordecai Noah in his community, but was never able to. Like, Noah was like, no, I don't, like, you're clearly not, like you're crazy and this is not what I'm about. And so he wasn't ever able to join Noah, even though he believed it was his destiny to like help him and like bring about the end of the world. Because this is also the Second Great Awakening at this time. So there's this huge like emotional movement in religious history where, people believe that like the end is near and we all have to like be saved, otherwise we're going to be judged and sent to hell and stuff like that. So around 1830, he was living in Albany and he's married at the time, and he has this like prophetic vision that there would be this great flood like in the Bible and like wipe out Albany. So he fled the city and was trying to convince his wife and some of his kids to go with him. And his wife refuses to do that because like at this point she's like, "You're going insane. You're absolutely crazy." And so he ran off with three of his kids and left her, and was eventually like found and institutionalized in the almshouse or like the poorhouse in Albany for a couple of weeks. And his wife tried to divorce him at that time, but she couldn't because New York law required you to have proof of adultery. And so, doesn't matter if your husband's crazy, right?
Wait, Greg, how do you have
Yeah.
proof of adultery as in colonial times? Does it have to be a letter saying like we have been
Two or
fucking?
more witnesses. That's like the
Of
standard.
what?
Like say you walked in on like the person having sex with somebody. Like you
And I
caught them in
brought
the
my
act.
friends to
You
catch
have
you
you
guys?
have to catch him in the act, right? But there would have to be like a certain like let's say two people saw like a guy running away from someone's house, right? That would be proof.
Mm.
Like that would hold up in a court of law, like two witnesses. I saw him leave the house, and then, you know, her
What
husband came home and, you know,
I'm hearing that you need good friends. That's what I'm hearing. You
yeah.
I
gotta.
know I have great friends in this situation. I'm just saying if you had to pick sides, you guys are legally required. It's my side. That's the
Her
relationship we have.
That's fair.
I mean, I like Evan, but he doesn't talk to me.
He doesn't talk to anybody.
I know it's nothing against him. I'm not taking it personally.
But
I just
also,
need an extrovert.
Greg, this story you're right. No, it has been
Oh,
kind of
no,
like
it keeps going too. And this is like Cliff Notes, right? Like the book is really interesting. I've taught it
what was
in
the
my,
book called again? Just
it's
for
called The Kingdom of Matthias.
that's such a fun name.
It's a good
The
name.
Kingdom.
Yeah. Well, so that's what they called the community that he ends up forming is Mount Zion or the Kingdom. So,
So wait, 100%. They picked the most obvious cult name and went with it.
yeah. Well, I mean, obviously, Jewish mystic cult kind of thing, like that sells, you know.
That's what the people want. Okay, go on.
They
Sorry.
do. So, so anyways, he's let out after 2 weeks because, and his wife isn't able to divorce him, and so he moves around, and by the next year he was in Rochester and calling himself the Prophet Matthias, but couldn't build a following, and so his wife like kicked him out basically when he came back to Albany and was like, if you're not going to work, like you need to go somewhere else. So he went down to Washington, D.C. and tried to sort of start his cult, and then moved back to New York City and was preaching on the streets. And that's where he met this guy named Elijah Pearson, who was like, Pearson was a middle class Victorian, respectable religious reformer who had already been like doing a lot of work to like help poor children and try to reform prostitutes and get them out of that lifestyle because obviously it's not a good reputation, good business to be in for a Victorian person in the 1830s.
Unmarried, Greg? Unmarried?
Yeah.
When I
So,
was watching Bridgerton, or not Bridgerton, what's that one show? The Before Bridgerton, Downton Abbey. I was
oh yeah,
watching that show way too much, and I saw a girl in a truck with her boyfriend's arm wrapped around her, and I was like,
I like the scandal.
she's never going to make a respectable marriage. That was my first thought. I was like, never. And that's when I knew I needed to stop watching that show. Like it was too much. It was too much, Randy. I'm just saying. Okay,
I
sorry,
like
Greg.
Downton Abbey.
I love that show. It's so good. I haven't
But
watched
it's
the
also a
movies.
very Victorian
Oh, yes.
show.
It's
Like
very like,
classes is a
Yeah,
big
oh,
part of
yes.
it.
yeah. I can't
Very
say I
downstairs,
ever had
upstairs.
that situation though, Karina. I didn't ever have a thought like that cross my mind
I
after
I was
watching it.
like, who am I? I really was like, excuse me? Anyway, so yeah. I don't know how that got there. Sorry, Greg.
No, you're good. You're
I
good.
could also start a cult apparently, because goddamn,
No,
I
well,
feel
I
like I
mean,
have
it
too
really
many
doesn't
similar
seem that hard,
qualities.
right? So this guy
It
It just
allegedly,
doesn't
takes
seem
us.
that hard,
It
no, no,
just
Randy.
no,
takes
right?
us. I talked about starting a religion our last recording. I still stand by that. I would love to
I
enter
have been
into a
told I
fellowship
could
with
be
you three.
I have been told I could be a cult leader, so I'm willing to try if I could have followers.
You know what?
Okay.
You know what that makes me though? That makes me the right hand. I'm not the shit covering shit up. I'm the one arranging your meetings.
No, oh, Randy, I was about to say, no, that's not true. And then I
It
remembered
is
earlier, do
true.
you want me to make a list? I need it.
It is 100% true. That is what I'd be doing. Logistics. Anyone need a COO? Here I am.
Yeah. Experience with cults, you know.
Or if you want to pay me to pay Randy to be the CEO, COO, one of the C's and
I
one of the
told you,
O's.
I don't have the charisma to be a cult leader. I also don't have the patience for it, I don't think. I
I
think
really
some
feel like
people
I
would
could do
exhaust
it, which
me.
worries me. It worries me, Randy. I I feel like I could thrive.
Like I love an
Okay.
adoring following. Like this fuels me.
No, I feel like
There,
if it was too much following, I would be over it. Like I'd be pissed. I'd be like, "Can you leave me alone?"
Well, you got a cold
see,
hurt, you know.
I, I feel like there's two types of cult leader you can be. You can be the cult leader where you buy into what you're peddling to people, and you can be the cult leader where you're like, I really don't give a shit, but I want something out of this, be it power or money or all the women in the world, whatever. I'm from Waco, so look into the French Davidians. Um, but what type do you think you would be, Karina? Sorry,
I
slight
think the
tangent.
first.
But
I feel like
curious.
I'm not the type to not follow my like if I'm gonna tell you to take the medicine, I will also be taking the medicine. You know what I mean? Like
You're
I'm the I drank the punch first.
So you're not Jim
yes.
Jones, right?
I'm fully invested, but I also am of the mindset of like I don't care what you do, just don't hurt me or other people or yourself. And that's how I live my life.
Well, lucky for you, there's a whole show called How to Become a Cult Leader on Netflix. So you can go brush up on your skills and then practice on us, and we'll see how it goes.
Okay, well
Randy.
let's hear about this one guy that Greg's talking about
Britt,
again.
like you're not 100% behind this too. I want to see what happens.
Okay,
We're gonna
okay.
go
Honestly,
take notes.
we get
All right.
popcorn.
Are y'all ready?
Yes.
Oh, sorry,
Okay.
Greg.
No,
Yeah,
no, no,
no,
you're good. You're good.
no.
I was like, that's my cue. Like
I'm
I'm ready to go.
redirecting.
Are we
Yeah,
back
yeah.
on Colts?
Yes,
Um,
we're back on Greg's cult.
well, so for Matthews, like meeting Pearson was good because he already was leading this independent church, even though he wasn't a minister, and he had about 50 or 60 people following him. And so, like Matthias or Matthews convinces Pearson that he's legit. So Pearson's like, obviously, I'll be your right hand person, and you can just start preaching to these people. And so he takes over this church and begins, you know, promoting whatever it is that he's promoting at this time. And they also convinced another fairly wealthy merchant named Sylvester Mills to join their group. And so, like, these two people gave Matthias a bunch of money. They bought him like nice clothes and like fitted him out to look more like a prophet and like provided him with resources, right?
So they were his sponsors, Greg?
Yeah, pretty much. They were like the guys backing this. And so when he would go in public, he would wear this crazy coat, like this crazy outfit with like basically kind of like a pope hat, like that was described as an inverted cone. He would wear a military jacket that had all sorts of like silk and braids and like fancy buttons and ruffles. Like he would just dress very extravagantly and carry a sword and a rod, right? Because he's kind of like the god, sort of like, it's, you know, symbolism and stuff like that. And so people who were friends with Sylvester Mills were like, you guys are crazy, and this guy is a fraud, and he's taking all of your money, as rational people should respond. And so they arranged to have Matthews arrested and to shave his beard. So he'd been growing his beard out because to fit the Jewish prophet sort of vibe, you can't shave or anything. So he has this like long beard at this point and stuck him back in an asylum. But for whatever reason, the people running the asylum let Matthews go because they were like, he's not that crazy, but they kept Mills. So he's released and is able to go and do whatever. And so along with Elijah Pearson, he had Pearson had two friends, Benjamin and Ann Folger, who lived in Sing Sing, like up the river, up the Hudson River, away from where Matthews was already. So they convinced them that he was a legit prophet as well. So they joined the cult. And, obviously Christianity's evil, and Matthews has the one true religion. And so they moved into the Folgers' home in Sing Sing, which they renamed Mount Zion, or they also called the Kingdom, and along with Matthews, and then he also had a servant named Isabella Van Wagenen. Um, and so there he set up the actual cult. So he ruled as like the head patriarch and gave his followers chores and tasks to do and established his control over these people. And that's where things start to get weird and sexual. So Matthews had an affair with Anne Folger, Benjamin's wife. And we're not like some like sources say that she like realized that this is the guy in power. I want to be close to power and like seduced him. Other sources say it's the other way around, right? But he claimed that the two of them were match spirits, whatever that means, right? That they have like a soul marriage and that she would
Okay,
have a child.
I'm sorry to interrupt you, Greg, but that sounds
Yeah,
like some straight up twin flame bullshit.
right.
That seems so suspicious.
Or
I'm
spirit
so
married,
suspicious. Yeah,
right?
sus.
But then also he's like, you're gonna have my baby and it's gonna be the Messiah.
I mean, if she wants that, that sounds like a lot of work.
It does.
Yeah, how is raising Messiah baby different than regular baby? Give me the pros and cons. Like, it's weird. I don't like it.
And
There's
like, are
always a
you
Messiah baby.
responsible? Like, if it's Messiah baby, are you responsible for Messiah baby? Because like, is it just a good baby? Like, sorry. No, I'm gonna go on a whole different tangent. Keep going, Greg.
Yeah, no, no, exactly, right? Like we'll bypass the Messiah thing. So obviously Anne was previously married to Benjamin Folger, who's not happy about the whole like you're sleeping with the cult leader thing, right? And he's like, I don't know about this whole like I know I agreed to follow this guy, but I don't know about the whole like match spirit thing. So like he
Yeah,
was
also, was he
upset.
supposed to be cool with the guy just fucking his wife?
Well, I guess he was, right? But he wasn't. And so Matthews is like, I got a job for you, right?
Hmm.
So he's
Convenient.
like, I'm gonna send you to Albany to get my kids from my wife, who like he's still married to her technically, right? Um, and so he sends Benjamin and is like, all right, go pick up my kids. So Folger goes and picks up his kids, and then on the way back, sleeps with Matthews's oldest daughter, also named Isabella, like his servant. And this
Damn.
Oh, I really thought you were gonna say the wife, Greg.
Yeah,
No, no, no.
same.
So it's his daughter. So he's like, all right, you're gonna fuck my wife? I'm gonna fuck your daughter.
Dang. He was like one step of escalation. We're going.
Yeah, right. He's like, all right, let's go.
I don't know what's worse, your mother or your daughter. Which one would you be more appalled by?
My daughter. What my
Really? I
mom
think
does
my
is her
Daughter.
mother.
business. What
I
she
think
does is
my
her.
I
Like if
think
my
I would
mom
have
is
been more bold on
consenting
my
to all
mother.
of this, I don't care.
See, I think I would feel that way about my daughter, given if she was old enough. I'd be like, ugh, she's so young, you took advantage. If it was
No.
my mother, I'd be like, that bitch knew.
Yeah, no, no. So the mother actually let the kids go with him because like he sent money and sort of like convinced her that he had turned things around and was not crazy. And so she's like, "All right, I'll send my kids with this person."
To be fair, Greg, my comparison was not for their mother, but Matthias's mother.
Oh,
But
Matthias's mother. I don't know what's happened to her at this point.
it's okay. I was just making the either or in my head.
Yeah, I
Continue.
like the either or though. So, but this is going to become a problem though, because Matthews's daughter Isabella was already married. Like, so she was married, and then like agrees to go with her father, and then sleeps with Folger on the way, right? So it's already gotten like really messy, you know. Um, and so when they return to Sing Sing, Matthews eventually found out and is mad. And so he whips his daughter very severely, but then is like, okay, y'all also have a spirit union or whatever, the match spirit. So he's like, okay, you can marry Folger, right? And so he's like, this is going to fix the problem, right? I'll be with Benjamin's wife and you can be with my daughter and everything's good. And
Yeah,
so
I don't love
Isabella's
that.
real husband, like, begins to search for her because she's gone off and gone to another community and disappeared and everything, and tracks her down and demands her return. So he's not able to get like they kind of find a way to like force him out at this point and send him away. Like she won't go back with him basically. So eventually, Benjamin was still pissed off at Matthews about everything and him ordering everybody around. And so he ordered him to leave his house and give his wife back, which Matthews obviously refused. He's like, no way, I'm not going to do that. And this is where it all starts to kind of unravel. So around that time, Elijah Pearson started having health issues and mysteriously dies. Like, it kind of looks like maybe he was poisoned. We don't know it's murky. He starts to get more and more like have more and more health problems and eventually dies. And so then Benjamin Folger is able to get Matthews arrested and jailed for potential murder and for getting money under false pretenses. And he also accuses Matthews's servant, Isabella, same name as his daughter, of being involved in this plot. So in 1835, the two of them stand trial for murder. And they were acquitted because there was a lack of evidence. There's no definitive proof that they had a hand in Pearson's murder. And so this is where all these details come out because newspapers are reporting this and it becomes a scandal in the early United States in the 1830s, right? For Victorians who are like, we're trying to prevent, having children and sex is only for procreation and stuff like that. This is super scandalous. And so they did find Matthews guilty of beating his daughter because no one disputed that. And so he spent 3 months in jail for that, plus an additional 30 days for contempt of court.
Oh, what did he do? Do you know?
Oh, just like being difficult with the whole thing and trying to pull the religious angle and stuff. So they were like, okay, look, you weren't
Basically,
you
he was annoying.
yeah, yeah, yeah. I mean like you defied the court enough and you gave us a bunch of bullshit. So,
And
four
we don't
months in
like you
jail.
anyway. So here's 30 more days.
Yeah.
I love it.
So a lot
I
of
mean,
these
not really.
people, like most of these people in this story kind of disappear eventually. Like the Folgers fall off the map in like the 1850s. That's like the last record we have. And like this happens with people. Like sometimes they show up in the historical records and then they just disappear. and we don't know what happened to him, right? And so the same kind of thing happens with Matthews. Like once he's released, like we have a little info on what happens to him, and that's really interesting. And then he kind of disappears. So we know that he went to Ohio after he got out of jail, and there he met Joseph Smith,
Uh,
the founder of the Mormons.
yeah. Random cameo.
Right? So we actually have documentation from Mormon records because he approached Joseph Smith and called himself Joshua the Jewish minister. And so the two of them like sat down and met and talked about religion. And these are, I don't know, I would just say two cult leaders
Yes.
starting,
Yeah.
sitting down at the
Yes.
table, right? And so,
Yes.
so they're
One
talking about
hundo.
all sorts of things. They're talking about the resurrection and reincarnation. And Matthews tells uh, Joseph Smith that he was both God and the reincarnated apostle Matthias. That's where the name Matthias comes from. So he's the apostle who replaces Judas in church history after Judas dies, right? Because he betrays Jesus, and then depending on which version, there's three versions of how he dies. Pick whichever one you want. Um, but after he dies. So he's like, I am both God and the prophet Matthias or the apostle Matthias. Um, and obviously Joseph Smith is like, there could only be one cult leader between the two of us. So he kind of kicks Matthews out, and both of them denounce each other as satanic. So they're both like, "You're a false prophet.
Oh
You're
my
the
God, I
devil."
love it so much. Cult leaders beefing. This is the twist I didn't know I needed, Greg.
I did not
Right?
expect this to come. No. Mm.
No, 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 I know. That's why it's such a good. I love the book. It's fantastic because you're just like, what the fuck? Like almost every other page as you're reading it. So we don't really know what happened to Matthews after that. He kind of disappears a little bit. There are rumors that he died in the Iowa Territory in 1841. There was another rumor that he was living outside of Nauvoo, like one of the Mormon communities, and like
Mhm.
that's just where he disappears. There was also another one tying this back further that he was chased out of Little Rock by a lynch mob, and the trail goes cold after that. So there's potential that he made it all the way down to here, where I am in Arkansas,
Very wild.
right?
It comes
But we
full
do.
circle for all of us.
But and this is where like I think that this is just phenomenal writing in terms of books. This is kind of the mic drop at the end. They're like, we do know a little bit about his servant Isabella, surprisingly, who was involved in this and stood trial for murder. She went on to take the name Sojourner Truth and became an abolitionist.
No.
Yes.
No, Greg.
Yes. That's how they end the fucking book.
Dang.
Wait, this is actually true? This cult
Yes.
leader's life is crazy. Why is this
This
not
is
a
this is
movie
totally
yet?
true.
Why is this not a movie yet? Seriously, though.
It's fantastic. I love
It's
it.
too much for the American public,
It is too
Randy.
much for the Victorian
They
sensibilities,
can't
you
handle
know?
Well,
this.
I'm also wondering how many people would recognize those names off the top of their head. But
No, but if you know Sojourner Truth, you're like,
Yes.
what the
yes,
fuck?
I know
Yeah.
them both. I'm really kind of shocked right now.
Yeah.
Me too.
You got me again, Greg.
There were audible gasps. I heard them from here. Yeah.
Which, like, if that's how you end your book, I feel like the next page should be like, be on the lookout for my next novel coming out. Where we pick
I mean,
up where we left
absolutely.
off.
Yeah, if you're not giving me where to look for the answers I'm looking for, what the fuck are you doing? That's just
So,
that's just
so Paul
abusive.
Johnson actually has another really good book about the first ever like American celebrity who was just like an entertainment celebrity. This guy named Sam Patch who jumped waterfalls,
Oh, yeah.
and it's also fantastic.
Yeah.
You gotta jump a waterfall when it's available, I guess.
Yeah.
I'm not doing it, Randy.
But
Don't
like
look
you're
at me like
doing
Yeah,
that.
like
no, thank
Daredevil
you.
kind of stuff, right? It's like Evil Knievel or something.
I'm gonna stay on solid ground, guys.
I've
Wow.
got to think about falling. It's not about the heights, it's about the
It's about how you land.
dying.
The
Yeah.
dying?
It's the dying.
I'm
It's the dying.
not trying to die today.
I'm specific about it because like I'm totally fine on like if there's a barrier. Do you know what I mean? Like if there's a barrier, I can be as close to that edge if I feel secure.
That's
But
fair.
Part of that is the Call of the Void. Have y'all heard of this?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I felt that underwater.
what is that? The Call of the Void? Is this like when the universe screams at us?
No, it's this impulse when you get close to the edge of a really high height to like throw yourself off. So I this is weird. Got it really bad one time watching Fellowship of the Ring whenever Gandalf is stuck on top of Saruman's tower, and I was like, I need to
Oh
stop.
yeah.
And then I had to come back to it later. I was like, I am too anxious right now because I'm thinking about what I would do if I was up there. So, but
I mean, yeah. Sometimes I'll get the same feeling as if I were the one about to fall when I'm like watching people falling or something. I can't. It's hard. I
So I
don't
had
know
that
that I
scuba
want to
diving.
do it. Scuba diving?
Yeah, I
Interesting.
did a dive in Grand Cayman where like we ended up like going through these volcanic tubes and it shoots you out on the wall, like which is part of the continental shelf, you know? So it's like it's really cool because there's a lot of like deep fish and reef life and stuff that you can only see when you go down about 100 feet. But like the wall drops off, like 2,000 or 3,000 feet, just straight down. And so like everything you see like looking down, it just becomes this black void, and you're just like, you know, if you just like let go, you would just drift down indefinitely.
And you
wild.
wanted to drift down, Greg?
No, I didn't want it. I was just like, this feels very surreal. And I was like, oh, I get what people mean with the whole like call of the void thing. We're just like, I could just like let all the air out and you just slowly sink
Oh
down, you
yeah.
know?
Yeah.
I feel
If
like we've
that's
all
The
had
what it's
that.
impulse
like,
to
I've
give
done that.
in.
Yeah, where you're just like, I could
Yeah.
Yeah.
just a
Just a
little.
little.
Doop.
It's like the
Yeah.
Chipotle CEO. You're like, you know,
Wait, wasn't that on Shrinking? The Boop? Did any of you watch Shrinking on
I
Apple?
didn't. I watched a couple episodes, but I didn't
Okay.
like really get into it.
Never mind. Forget I said anything at all.
Uh, well, does anyone have any other stories before we go? Anybody? I don't have any. I had to stop myself from researching because this is probably one of my favorite topics and I could go
Mhm.
hard. For years, I could just talk about a lot of this stuff. Oh, Randy. Anyway, but thank you so much, everyone, for being here, especially Britt, our guest for this episode. Thank you so
Yes.
much. We're so grateful to have you.
Thank y'all for having me.
It's been a fun time.
Yeah, I enjoyed it.
I liked
Yes.
all of your facts.
I
Yes, they
have
were interesting.
so many random facts floating around in my head. There were a couple. Okay, this one's off record because I could not find anything to prove this, but there was one that I saw that said, what was it? Women are most likely to consider adultery while ovulating.
Oh,
And I was like,
Hmm.
I could see
that's
it.
interesting.
interesting. It
Yeah,
like hormonally, that would make sense.
yeah. Especially because like that's I mean when you're fertile, so it's like it makes sense that that might be more the biological impulse of like, hey, my
I
body is
need
created for
this.
this.
I
Yeah.
I found another pirate fact while I was researching.
Okay.
Ooh.
All right, Randy, what was the combo?
So I found this out because first because it was like revealed as a myth. Apparently, it's like a myth that I didn't know people believed this, but the Nazis invented sex dolls in World War II, and like it was spread to ruin the Nazi reputation.
I love that.
But this ties to pirates because it ends up that it was centuries before that the pirates had actually invented the sex doll on voyages. They named her she was like La Dame something, like the woman, the voyage woman or something like that, the long voyage woman. And she was made out of old rags from the ship. Like they would pile them together and put them all together to make the shape of a woman. And then the men would take turns fucking this pile of rags.
You know
The
you're down
men,
bad when.
the men would take turns fucking this pile of rags.
Well, with pirate ships, women were considered bad luck, right?
No,
Yes,
well,
definitely superstition.
yeah. I was like, that's not the area of pirate I studied.
Yeah,
Yeah,
no, like there
no.
tends to be more superstition about women on the ships.
Randy, that fact was something. That was something.
I
That was
told you I was finding ones that Brit I should have been sending to you because I literally was like, what the fuck? What the fuck?
I definitely
Please.
think we will do another sexy sips episode because why not? It's so unhinged. Um,
All,
I love it.
all of, yes, I do too. All of you have me on Snapchat. If you ever see like unhinged sex facts, please just send them to me. Like you don't have to preempt or anything. Just send them to me, and I'll be like, oh my
It's
god, this
out
is
of the blue.
amazing. Yes, truly.
I saw this and I thought of you.
Yes, like I love it. It's insane. It makes me so happy. Please do.
mm,
Oh, Karina, thank you for having us. Thank you for having me.
yes, I'm like, I don't know. There's some things I don't know if I want you thinking of me while you see. You know what I mean? Like, there's been a lot of facts today that I've been like, I could have done without you thinking of me while learning about this. Anywho, yeah, so thank you so much for joining us, everyone, our video watchers, our audio listeners, and all our friends who joined us today. If you want to support us in our historical endeavors, research, and all of the subscriptions, because everything just has a subscription these days, um, follow us on wherever. Tell your friends. Our name on Instagram and Facebook and TikTok is sip and saga underscore society. And our website is sipandsaga.online. I keep combining them. Anyway, we have merch, we have membership opportunities, and also if you just want to tell us things, we will listen, we will hear you. And also we have book reviews. Randy does them,
Mhm.
and I will do them when I remember to do that.
Guys, I just finished 30 books so far for the year. I'm well on my way.
Congratulations.
Yeah.
That's
Randy, that's
awesome.
so many books.
Well, I got that challenge from Greg. I'm reading a whole
Are you gonna try
person's
to do
life
50?
worth of books. No, you said that most people, after they leave college, don't read more than 100 books. So I'm reading a whole person's worth of
I think
books.
it's only 50.
Oh,
She's
well,
reading two
So if you
then.
do 100, you get two people's lifetimes of books.
is
So
it really only
perfect.
50? Well, damn. Well,
That's what they said on NPR.
Also,
Like that
I
was
think
like a
that's
thing that stuck with
sad.
me because they were interviewing some like elementary school kid who had read like some absurd number of books, right? I mean, they're like, third grader
2 pages
books,
long.
right?
Yeah, like what do
Yeah,
they
yeah,
even
yeah.
know about
But
reading?
still, they were like, and this is great because it sets habits, and
Ethel
adults
was
don't
third
read
grade.
more than 50.
I'm looking it up
I
right
can
now because
honestly say I think I
that
read about
seems
at
so
least
low.
50 a year. Like,
But
I
think about
can't
how
even
many people
imagine.
you went to school with who just like fucking hated reading.
Yeah, that's wild.
That's freaking wild. Anywho, if you want a book to read, we have a book club. Um, and this month we're reading Polysecure, and we're meeting May 28th. So if you would like to join us, look at our website, sipandsaga.online, or find us on Instagram. We're all over the place. But for now, we gotta go because it's definitely nap time for some of us, if not all of us even. So goodbye. Goodbye, everyone.
Bye.
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 Bye. Sorry, I'm still looking this up. Bye.